Hello, friends. This is Giuliano. It's a Sunday. It's the 3rd of April, 2022. And I want to dive into this price chart here, Pirate Chain against BTC. So what are we looking at? What are we looking at? Well, one thing, yeah, I had been looking at the Wyckoff method and really, or just the schematics, and this beautifully looks like an accumulation range with all of the phases playing out nicely. The question is this markup the end of it and now we're doing something new? Or is it just the maybe a last point of supply before the next stage? Regardless, anyway, I'm not going to go too much into this Wyckoff idea here. You can look at these patterns and then you can look back to the price action and you'll see it. If you want me to go into it, I will, but I don't think it's necessary. One thing I would like to show though is, let's go here. Okay. The price action has ridden up the Bollinger Bands to the upside. Okay, we reached some significant resistance zone and we found our resistance. Now we're back down to the Bollinger Band for support. It's the first time, Bollinger Band, 20-day moving average. We're back to the 20-day moving average for support. It's the first time since middle of March or beginning of March, 10th of March, let's call it. And that was barely a strong confirmation of finding support here. You know, the price went above, came back down, it broke below. So it didn't find it really as support, but then it came above and pushed off higher. So now is really the first opportunity to show that it will support after moving away from it. So it moved away from it, came back below, moved away from it. Can it find the support and go higher? So that's one question. We have the 200-day moving average all the way down here at the 3,200 Satoshis level. We don't want to come see that. That would definitely be bearish, but well, bearish as a relative term for a daily price chart action to be back in this zone here. Yeah, but we would know before then, because firstly, this 20-day moving average, like that's a strong place for support. We'd like to support there, maybe deviate below, but come back above and get the proper support there. Not as big of a deviation as this, but you never know. But we'll see. When we look at the higher time frames, it seems pretty good overall. We have this Ichimoku cloud here around the 4,000 Satoshis level. So I think that's something to consider. However, when we start to bring in the trends, it tells a bit more of the story. So I'm going to bring in the trends and say, we don't want to come to this Ichimoku cloud down here. I mean, if we do, that's fine, as long as we can get back above this trend, this pink trend here. Let's make it a bit more visible. So this green trend here, boom, okay. The green trend is basically the big trend now, the main trend we want to hold. If we lose this trend, well, the previous trend was a downtrend. So this is our low, high, higher low, higher high. We want to hold this trend to keep the potential for a bigger move to the upside. If it breaks down, we could still make a higher low than this low here. We could make a higher low and maybe it'll involve this Ichimoku cloud. So that's possible, but then that's less strong. And we're starting to talk about, you know, 36 to 4,000 Satoshis roughly level, maybe 4,000. Because then look, here's some other trending aspects. It's the trend based on the previous price action back here. So we have also, if it comes down towards this Ichimoku cloud, if it could stay above this yellow line here, this downtrending, then that's still showing at least enough strength. But I think the strongest move is, well, bouncing off the 20-day moving average. That would be the strongest move. But when this price was breaking down, the more short-term average here, if we go to this short-term average and you look at it on the 4-hour, you'll see also, but you can see it very clearly on the daily. Okay, you can see it very clearly on the daily. Price pushed much higher, pushing up the Bollinger Bands up to this resistance zone. And the whole time it was finding support at this trend line. Eventually it broke down below, and then it found resistance at the trend line on a couple of occasions here. And so that was confirmation that this trend line is over. So we will have a bigger correction. You know, these are smaller degrees, and now we're in a bigger degree. Now the question is, are we in the same degree as this one? Not so sure, but we'll take a look at what time looks like for that. I also want to recognize in terms of a retracement from the move up, we're still at a 38.2. So this is a strong position to be in still, okay? If you start breaking below, really below the like 43, 42 level, 4,000 Satoshis is the 50% level of retracement. So, and you definitely don't want to come back below 3,700. But if you do come back below there, then you know, that's showing even down towards there. It's showing more weakness. The real strong move would be to stay above this level here, 4,300. So let's see how that works. The other reason to stay in this region is then you're staying relatively around the 20-day moving average. If you can hold this as support, that's even stronger. Okay. It also keeps you above downtrending support, and the bigger reason to stay in this region is that it keeps you above this longer term trend line, just a bit longer term, this new trend line. So if we're going to maintain this trend, and hopefully by June, or sorry, what is that? Yeah, July, sorry, end of June, beginning July. Hopefully by then, the price would be up here. You know, none of this financial advice or anything, but the price would be at least up here as in terms of an A, B, C flat type of a move. We'd be in the C up. And so this green trend line, we would basically want this to hold the whole time. We don't want this small move here to get broken at all. If it does, then it invalidates a lot of this trending move. So that's the idea, that staying in this region here offers, and it offers it to stay bullish, even if it chops around, and it can spend time here even for the whole month if it has to. You still, but it's a bit weaker if it does that, and then it hits this trend line area. But even if it is weak to the point where it's just going sideways, I mean, that's still very strong, because that's different than coming down significantly. And even if it does come down below, well, we'll see where that ends up. But yeah, this region is definitely a key area to stay within. So we're going to see if the price can stay in there. I find trend lines to be helpful. They don't tell the whole picture, but they can help understand the momentum. And so now that we're in a bigger correction, let's take a look at the time frame of this correction here. We'll take the top, and instead of just going top to, actually we'll go top to bottom first. So let's say we go here top to bottom, and we go here top to bottom, you know, give or take a day or two, but I'm going to go here, and a 1-to-1 would be the bottoming around 9th of April. So hey, maybe we're down here at like 4,200 Satoshis around that time. Possible, but even better if we could bounce around here, chop around here at this 44 and 44 level. That would be ideal. 43, you know, whatever, 42.5, it's all good. That's fine, no big deal. Okay, I think that's it. I don't really, you know, like, we are in a bit of a corrective move now. So the question is going to be, how big of a correction is it going to be? And also, how much is it going to take away from the momentum? Is the momentum going to be able to go higher? Or are we now in a smaller momentum scenario? That's where we look at a bit of a higher time frame to get a sense of where we are. So I'm going to, I think everything is understood with the trends on the daily, where we are on the daily, the retracement level for the daily. Obviously, to the upside, we're targeting the higher end of this zone. Okay, so then let's go to the weekly price chart and say, yeah, we are at the lower end of that zone and we got rejected. The price on the weekly as well, it rode up the Bollinger Band to the upside. So now the question is, how long does it need to correct? And the other question is, how far does it need to go? You have this previous support type of levels where we are now, as well as this type of resistance zone. So if we play this line here, roughly, or yeah, that's your 37, and we had said that before. So really, like, don't really want to go much lower. The best bet is to correct maybe one more week and then keep going higher. If you correct more than that, it starts to move into that longer time frame. And you could, and it could just be kind of sideways. Maybe it's green, maybe it's red, maybe there's a wick here or there. Who knows? And that at least would be good enough to consume the time without taking too much of the price to the downside. But we'll see how this goes. Is the momentum slowing? Is it over on the weekly? We would hope not for those in favor of higher moves and more strength. And yeah, that would be a great thing to continue going higher in terms of the momentum on the weekly, and that would fit with our possibility of this July period as a topping area. And maybe it's around here, around this 11,000 satoshis, 11,000 type of level with the Ichimoku cloud above as it's forming. Let's see. Maybe it can push through, but that's a long way away for now. We haven't even breached this zone here into the 5,000s. So yeah, like in a closing basis, 5,200, whatever. So that's about it. I don't really have much else to say for the pirate chain, other than maybe we'll check. We got a monthly closing, so we will take a look at the monthly close. Yeah, so the monthly close pushed up nice and high above the 20-month moving average, so that's nice. The 20-month moving average is all the way down at 38.6, 38.2, whatever. I mean, at this point, do we have to be that precise? 38.6, let's call it. So hey, you have room to go and find support there if you need. Maybe it doesn't do that this time though, and it does it later. So far we haven't seen the price move above the 20-month and then come back down and get support to go higher again. But then again, on this charting, on this exchange, we don't have as much data going so far back, but at least we have a 20-month moving average that we can use as a guide. So everything is still remaining strong enough on the pirate chain. Clearly, we're not breaking all-time highs or even pumping in this current week, but it is a decent pause at a known resistance. I mean, all of this just makes sense and it seems fair. We'll just see if it can push higher and then consolidate within here. That would be the more ideal scenario. If it has to, if it has to consolidate longer on a weekly time frame, you would want it to be in here, not below here, because below here it'll probably just break down. Yeah. Anyway, bias is still to the upside and things are looking good. They're looking decent. I don't know how much longer we need to correct here. If we don't just go to the bottom, but we take the whole move and we go here before the big pump candle, then we take the top either here or here. We are looking at, yeah, middle of April as in terms of maybe it needs to just be quiet a little bit. It's neither going up nor down. It's a lot of green candles here, but it didn't really go very far, 25 to 28. So yeah, well, there was a big wick, so things can happen. So maybe mid-April, we can hope for a turn to the upside. And if it's a smaller degree, if this is a smaller degree, than this big one, then I'm thinking even by 7th of April, something around there gives a good reason for a move higher. But anyway, that would be around a 61.8% of the time. Okay, I hope that makes sense for you. 16th of April would be a 1-to-1 if we're comparing a correction about this size. Okay. All right then. Thanks for watching. I hope this has been helpful for you. Yep. Deviation up here below our, above our box, back down into the box. So wishing you lots of treasure. Okay. Keep that treasure in your booty safe. Until next time, wishing you love, peace, and happiness. Goodbye.